What conspiracy theory do you fully believe is true? He gently threatened them all at the beginning of their administrations by showing them his file on them and then expressed concern over what might happen if that information were to get into the wrong hands. I laughed knowing that everyone knows about Clive and him now and that J. Edgar is the butt of so many jokes. The man was evil. The very first clown who appeared during that time was in relation to the filming of this movie. Gags the Clown. The director said that he wanted to be able to utilize real news footage and people's real reactions for the film, but it totally got out of hand and maybe some movie executives from IT were excited about prolonging the creepy clown narrative, but all of this really did happen because of a movie. I don't think this is a conspiracy theory. I think it's absolute truth. If you had contestants solving the puzzles after 2 or 3 letters every time, then it wouldn't be nearly as enjoyable to watch. They want puzzles to get dragged out with morons spying vowels deep into the board just so viewers feel better about themselves. I had a relative try out, and he said it was more of a personality test than an intelligence assessment. They did stuff like ask them for a hidden talent. They were trying to see who would be most likable on screen, which is honestly what I'd do too if I were trying to produce the show. I once worked with a guy whose mom tried out for Wheel of Fortune but was told she was too good to be on the show. It was a long time ago, so here is how I remember him telling the story. His mom cooked dinner every night and always had Wheel of Fortune on in the background. However, the kitchen was laid out. She had her back to the TV and couldn't really see it. Apparently, after years of watching Wheel of Fortune every night, she got so good at it she could solve puzzles without having to turn around and look at the puzzle the whole time. She tried out for the show and was told she was too good to be on it. Definitely not the world's most exciting story, but it is. My mom has a theory that whenever a contestant on Wheel of Fortune gets greedy and spins, when the puzzle is clearly easily solvable, they manipulate the wheel to land on bankrupt. Also, whenever there is a good-looking girl on, she believes they manipulate the game so that girl wins. Edit. Thanks for all the replies. I didn't think this many people would take it this seriously, but I have heard of the quiz show scandal. That's why I don't really believe these theories. It's more of a fun, harmless talking point when it does happen. Can't speak for my mom though. She may truly believe it. Big companies use Reddit and other social media to normalize shady behavior. It seems every time news breaks about a company doing something shady, the top comments on Reddit are always along the lines of, "Well done. We've known this for years." So instead of outrage, the news are met with apathy, and there's a feeling that you can't change the system anyway. I honestly think there are so many dumb, brainwashed people out there who do this kind of work for the rich people that there's no conspiracy even needed here. Like, I see this phenomenon in other places as well. Sports fans, celebrity gossip fans, etc. People constantly apologize for others' shitty behavior. My theory is this makes them feel better about whatever they've done, or it minimizes the situation so it feels less bad, or something. Not sure. I came across the theory the other day that one of the early Reddit users who has one of the highest points scores of all time was an account run by Ghislaine Maxwell, who used the position of Matt of various subreddits like r, news and stuff like that to influence the overall conversation of the internet. The evidence is only circumstantial, and some of it pretty tenuous, but I am intrigued by the fact that the account stopped posting the day she was arrested, after previously posting multiple times per day for 15 years or something, and hasn't posted since. It's kinda sus. This theory by a Redditor which was later removed and the user was site-wide banned for reasons I don't know. Robert Kardashian destroyed evidence that would have convicted O.J. He was handed a Louis Vuitton garment bag by O.J.'s assistant right as O.J. returned from Chicago. None of the cops paid any attention to him as he walked away with the bag. When the bag theory was discovered a month later, Kardashian claimed to have lost it. The one about mattress stores being money laundering fronts. Even though they're not really cash businesses, it is strange that you'll see 2 or 3 giant mattress stores all near each other. Yet how often does the average person buy a mattress? Once a decade. I guess the more conventional explanation is that the markup on mattresses is so insanely high that you only need to sell a few per week to make money. I still think there's something fishy going on in those stores though. I just googled mattress stores near me and 7 results came up and all of them are rated 4.8 or 4.9 stars out of 5.0 on Google Maps. They all had 150 plus reviews while nearby restaurants only had around 50 reviews. But all these mattress stores having near perfect scores, and one of the stores had the same sales associate name in nearly every review. X was really super helpful to us, or X did a great job of assisting us today. Maybe the mattress stores in my area are just that good, but dang is it fishy. We had our washer machine fixed a few years back and the repairman told us pretty much this as a tip. Part of our machine's issue was a lot of excess stuff, hair/soap, that would get caught and clog up the drain areas, especially behind the rubber seals. The hair we understood how to clear out now that we knew about it, and we asked about how to prevent soap from over-collecting and forming. He told us that the lines are pretty much always more than you actually need. Just put a little in and you're good. I don't know if he was right, but I accept it as fact in my head now. I work in a science lab and we use special hand soap and detergent for lab coats. It's provided on a contract basis, so we pay a flat fee per month and the soap is constantly replenished. It's essentially the same formula as commercial soap with a few tweaks. No scent or foaming agent, and a dye to detect biological substances. The manufacturer recommends we use a fraction of the amount that commercial products recommend and everything still comes out clean. We tested. The amount you actually need to wash your hands with is minuscule. Literally, a drop or 2 is enough. I have a smaller washer, 1.6 cubic feet top loader, and put my detergent in travel bottles. I just squirt some soap in the bottom before throwing my clothes in. 1 3-ounce bottle lasts me 4 or so full washes and the clothes come out clean. I've been using the same 64-load bottle for almost 8 months and it's still 1/3 full. Leaving the machine lid door open helps dramatically with avoiding a musty smell too. Obviously be careful if there are pets around though. Here is a bizarre and specific one that I discovered recently. Most portable induction cooktops have purposely blocked out the temperature range 80°C 110°C, 176°F 230°F. You're allowed to cook above and below that range, but not within it. I had my suspicions after trying to find one that allowed you to cook at 95°C, just below boiling point, to avoid burning, but found that all of the ones I looked at with physical buttons skipped that temperature range. My suspicions were confirmed when I found that even the new advanced models with smartphone controls have specifically blocked out 80°C 110°C at the software level. Screenshot, video proof. You can see that he attempts to set it at 100°C, but the app changes it to 110°C or 80°C. Another video. Don't believe me? Seriously. Go online and try to find any portable induction cooktop that allows it. I've looked at Amazon, retail stores, AliExpress, for US, Asia, Australia, etc. You can often find people complaining about it in the reviews. Even the no-name Chinese brands have that range blocked out. If you can find one that works on 230°, I'll buy it. After sending emails to the companies, I get the same response. That temperature range is not possible. No, they won't tell me why, and it's not a temperature that people will usually need. WTF, boiling point isn't a commonly used cooking temperature. That's obviously untrue. The top theories so far: it's to stop people making drugs. It's to stop people suing them for undercooking chicken or something stupid. That's something where it will happen at 100°C. the machine will destroy itself. All life as you know it will stop instantaneously and every molecule in your body will explode at the speed of light. That range causes vibrations in the metal that interfere with Wi-Fi signals and make it look like you're downloading furry porn. It's irritating that I spent my money on an expensive induction cooker and compatible pots and pans because Reddit recommended it, only to find out that I have to undercook or burn everything because of this conspiracy. Edit, this might be the answer, and a scientific study. As a chemist, I don't even think the making drugs theory makes sense. It's really easy to get a stable 100°C temp. Just stick a flask in a boiling water bath, and the difference between 79 and 100°C isn't really that significant for making any street drugs. Plus I think it would much easier to just use the sous vide to make drugs which has a more stable temperature, and from what I see online they don't block out that range. However, the fact that every single manufacturer does this means it must have a reason. Crazy. Not sure if crappy Chinese manufacturers etc. would even care about people suing them for chicken temp. I wonder if the frequency of electric current or the energy of the magnetic field produced in that temp range somehow interferes with common household devices, or damages the induction cooker somehow. Maybe it blocks out the government microchips controlling our thoughts. I'm now invested in this conspiracy theory and will think about it often. The real answer, which I couldn't find anywhere in the comments, but is readily available if you Google it. Induction cookers are basically radio transmitters. They are at the very low end of the microwave band. Any lower and they interfere with AM frequencies. The temperature control also controls the frequency. Induction cookers are not allowed to dip below their operational frequency range or else they interfere with radio. It is against the law, FCC, to interfere with radio frequencies. Edit, here is a sample FCC report on an induction cooker. Look on page 14 as they test the temperature settings. The lowest setting is at 1.7 kHz, just outside the range of AM radio's 1.6 kHz. Edit, for the people wondering why the frequency is variable and not the amplitude. Induction cookers are powerful electromagnets. If you could turn up the amplitude, the magnet would get stronger as well. Think about what might happen if you were cooking while wearing a steel watch. Edit, stealth this post up. The pacemaker issue is regardless of temperature setting, so it's not the reason why induction cookers don't go below a certain temp. The government frequently makes fake classified documents as a form of physiological warfare. The one about the government being able to use mind time travel during the Cold War to successfully guess the enemy's next move, that's completely faked. They know the Soviets were going to get a hold of some documentation about their experiments, so they intentionally leaked those documents, among a bunch of other outlandish, but more believed about stuff. It happens more frequently than you think. These documents can still be found on the FBI site scattered around the thousands of declassified documents released to the public. Roswell, there's a great internet historian video on it, but essentially it's believed that the weather balloon that crashed in New Mexico that was actually a spaceship was actually a weather balloon, or more accurately, a top-secret, high-altitude listening device that could detect, among other things, atmospheric nuclear tests the Russians were conducting in the early Cold War. It's likely the story about aliens was either a deliberate cover-up by the US government at the time, or was so convenient they didn't do anything to stop its spread. I went on a binge of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire at the start of lockdown. In the UK version, which is the original, they didn't claim it was random when the show started out. They just said it would remove 2 wrong answers. They publicly said that it was the least 2 likely answers decided by whoever. Inevitably that would probably fit what the contestant was saying. As the show went on they did eventually change to random selections, though I don't remember which season. The difference was palpable and it did seem at least more random. I watched like 8 seasons. I could definitely tell the difference. I have no idea what the US show did as I never watched this. But this isn't a conspiracy, it's just how the show worked, in the UK at least. You're talking to bots way more often than you think. Edit, this got more upvotes than I expected. That's reassuring, although I don't think it hurts to be reminded. On another note, something to consider is that when you post things publicly, there's a chance that what you say is getting picked up and fed to an algorithm to teach AI, so your voice is being added to the tapestry in some small way. Just another thing to ponder while online: is this a bot? Whose voices is it mimicking? Yeah, this happened to me about a year ago and I'm still pissed off about it. I was in some investment subs and someone was messaging me asking for investment advice. I actually wrote out about 3-4 pages of personal advice for them and they even responded with me for a while. After about 2 hours of messaging on Reddit, the bot drops the link to the product they were advertising. It got me so damn frustrated and angry at the company I gave their app website negative reviews. What a shitty practice. My old man was a detective and when I was younger he'd take me to places like that in his undercover car. He'd be like, check this out, and write down some license plates. We'd go back to his office and look them up. From what I remember, every single one had a record, things like possession and assault. He wasn't an overly suspicious guy either, just experienced. There's an Indian restaurant by my house that has buffet as their main thing. They opened not long before COVID shut everything down last year, so for a solid year they have either been closed, doing takeout or limited capacity dining with no buffet. Probably never had a chance to have a full house yet, so I doubt they were doing too well. But back of the restaurant I always see an R8, Land Rover and Porsche parked there. I'm too tired to remember what it is called, but it is one of the major branches of marketing right now. Fake social media campaigns, memes, etc. It is essentially just an extension of astroturfing campaigns, but mostly being less illegal. There are companies that specialize in just this type of stuff, in part as larger advertising companies like to distance themselves in case of backlash, or because in some cases some of the stuff being done is potentially illegal. They used to buy social media accounts from real people, then slowly start publishing ad material to make it look legit, though now they mostly use bots to generate plausible-looking accounts. Ever wonder why so many bots reposting stuff on social media sites? There is an entire industry just for gathering, making and selling fake accounts to marketing companies. Of course, now they've also found it is cheap to pay the right people to post for them. I used to do work for marketing companies. I've absolutely been pressured to post fake reviews and make social media posts. I have always refused. Personally, I'm convinced Sharknado was a case of the marketing memes making it popular, but then a lot of celebrities jumped on board not realizing the movie was actually bad. That there are still boys' bodies buried under an apartment building lawn by John Wayne Gacy at Miami Exilston in Chicago. A couple months ago someone uploaded a new mini docuseries on YouTube about serial killer John Wayne Gacy called Devil in Disguise, which was promptly removed from YouTube, but I still found the full series, perhaps not through the NBC Peacock app. Anyways, holy fuck, it's driving me bananas. There are reports of Gacy doing yard work at night, of digging ditches around a building, of filling the ditches overnight instead of during the day. A man in the documentary was about 8 years old at the time and Gacy paid him to do little things like take out the apartment building trash. He lived across the street from the building and his bedroom window happened to face the lawn where a lot of ditch digging had been happening. He was the one that said they had been filled overnight. He described exactly what shape the ditches were. As an adult, he drew a map for the police who were being pressured into searching the property about where he remembered the ditches being. He said, "There are 2 places you don't need to dig. One of them is where this bush is, because the bush was there before I moved there, and the roots are dense, so he couldn't have dug it up and put someone there and put the bush back there." Anyways, so in 2013 the police finally searched the grounds using ground-penetrating radar, which can give a fairly accurate hit without digging. In the documentary it is shown that the police barely checked the grounds, and they checked the two places the now adult man said no bodies could be there. Why I am thinking about this again is since about a month and a half ago Indigenous communities in Canada are searching residential school grounds for children and community members that were killed in the schools or buried in unmarked graves. They are using ground-penetrating radar to search places that elders, knowledge keepers say there are people. So far 5 places have been searched and there are over 1,500 hits from this radar method, which is another reason why I cannot believe at all that the police actually searched the grounds. It's like, here's another conspiracy, okay, the Chicago Police Department find bodies. Okay, then what? People involved in the original case are still alive. Gacy was probably part of a bigger sex traffic ring which they did not investigate. Politicians, police, and other powerful people were probably involved in the sex traffic ring of teenage boys and young men. Why else not follow any leads on it back then? So some of these people who were part of that original case are still alive, old as F, but alive, and for some reason that shit matters.